In this second part of the video, right, I will show you how to transfer, how to make this shape that you have generated from a 2D shape to a 3D object, right? With 2D shape to a 3D object. Now, we have generated a shape just now with lines and circles. Now, this is the shape that we have generated. Now, I will trace it onto, right, you have a template. Remember this template that I gave you? Right, you will trace it onto the square here, right, onto the rectangle down here, the shape that we have generated, right, the shape that I have generated, I will trace it down here. Now, then I will decide, because I'm going to bend this thing. Now, I'm going to bend this thing. Now, this is the shape that I've generated. Now, it's going to lie flat down here. Now, I do not want it to lie flat. I want it to stand up. I want it to stand up, something like that. Now, let's say this piece of paper, I'm going to bend it like that, 90 degrees. Right, after you bend, you can bend like that. Basically, you can, right, stand on the table on its own. Right, stand on its own. So I'm going to decide, right, I will bend it along this line. Right, so one side become the base, the other side become the back. Right, I will show you this one. All right, down here, this manner. Right, I will draw this line down here. Right, down here, so that this part will become the base. Right, this part down here become the back. Now I'm not going to transform this. Now I'm going to transform this base, right, base onto this area, right, this is the base, and then the back will be here. Right, the base will be here, the back will be here. Now if I were to just look at the base is a rectangle down here. This rectangle represented like this rectangle, right? All right, so I will trace the base down here. This rectangle down here, right, ABCD is represented by this rectangle down here, A, B, C, and D. All right, so I will just draw like that, because basically it's a rectangle anyway. Right, darken the outline. Darken the outline. Right, I'll darken the outline here. Okay, so I have completed my tracing of the base. Now I'm going to trace the back. The back is represented like which rectangle? The back is represented down here. Alright, so A is still here, D is down here. Now I'm going to locate this point, ABC. Okay, let's locate this point first, E. This point is somewhere here because it is on top of D, directly on top of D, right? Directly on top of D. So I have this point down here called E, and F is here. Now F is slightly above E. Now point E is like that. This line represents the height of point E. Now point E is to the left. F is onto the left of E, above, right? Slightly on a higher level. So to the left, somewhere here, above, right? I will estimate it to be down here, right? So this represents F, and I know that they are joined by the curve, so I will join them with a curve. Okay, so I'll join them in a curve. Okay, so this is F. Now how about this point down here? This point down here is lower than E, right? Lower than E. So if E is here, this point must be somewhere around this level. Can you see? Right, somewhere along this level, but to the left of F. Now this is F, this is point F, so assume that point is somewhere down here. And let's assume that point is somewhere down here. Now it's joined by a straight line, so I join it with a straight line. Then I have another point, this point down here. right? This point down here. This point is slightly above this point, slightly above this point. So let that level. Now it's in between. It's in between. It's slightly lower than E, right? It's slightly lower than E. I would say it's slightly lower than E. Okay, slightly lower than E. So I know that it's slightly lower than E somewhere here, and then it's to the right. No, to the left. To the left of this point, right? So lower the E. E is here. So slightly lower is here, and then to the left. So to the left, so somewhere down here, and I know that there is a curve down here, so I join the 2 points with a curve. All right, then I'm going to locate this point down here, right? This point is on the top of the rectangle, so it must be along this line. It must be along this line, so a little bit to the right of the, okay, estimate so because it must be in between the corner and this thing, right? My estimate in front may not be too good, but doesn't matter, right? It must be to the left of this point to the left, right? To the left. So it is joined using a straight line, right? It joined by a straight line. So I will move, right? Joined by a straight line. Again, from there is a line here. Needless to say, this line represent this line down here, right? This line down here, and then right, join. Okay, now I finished tracing, right? I finished tracing this shape. Oh, I forgot to. Right, there is a line down here. Now, okay, the next thing that we want to do, right? Now we have now bent along this line, right? We have now bent along this line, bend this piece of shape along this line AD, right? So we have bent along this line, so it now looks like that. The next thing that we need to do is to add thickness, right? Add thickness for this. Now thickness for the base is simple. Basically at the corner down here, I drew a straight line down here. Now the line, make sure that it's vertical. I will also do a vertical line. Alright, then I will join. Right, join. Right, join it with a straight line. Okay, we have talked about how to draw straight lines, right? Right, then at this point D, now it's very easy to add thickness. We just draw this for straight line is very easy, right? Right, just draw. Right, so we have added thickness for the base, right? Just vertical line, very simple. Now how about thickness for the back? Now thickness for the back, now I will need you, maybe this time round let you use a ruler. Now the thickness, I want it to be in this orientation. Alright, it must follow this orientation. So whatever thickness that you draw, right, it must follow this orientation. That means the angle my ruler cannot turn. Now let's start from here. So I move here, right? My orientation, I know that this line that I draw must be parallel to this line. So I use my ruler, yeah. This is parallel to this. Oh, this is not parallel already, right? Like that, not parallel. So this is parallel. So I will decide, all right, right, you need to decide how thick you want the thing to be, right? How thick do you want the thing to be, right? For example, I would, okay, let me zoom in a little bit. Can you see? All right, 10. All right, maybe I use a 10 mm, right? If I use 10 mm, I will use 10 to 11 down here. Because this is a straight line, right? I will come here. I will try. This is also parallel to this. So I will draw a line. Must be parallel to this. All right. The thickness need to be even. If this is 10 mm, this must really be around 10 mm. So are they about the same length? Okay, now I attempt to join them. Right, if the two length that you draw is about the same length, Now, one easy way to tell is this line that you draw must be parallel to this line, right? Must be parallel to this line. Now, we'll move on to the next corner. Anyway, this is easy because this is a straight line. Now, I will try to draw this line. This line that I draw, right, that I sketch must be parallel to this line. All right, I do this. All right, then I will gauge this one that come down must be parallel to this line. All right. Okay, once I am happy about it, then I will darken this line. Okay, then now come the interesting part. How do you add thickness for a curve? Right? How do you add thickness for a curve? Now, for those this first time you add thickness for a curve, doesn't matter. Right? I'll teach you how. Same thing. The principle is still the same. For every point down here, all right, you can draw a line. Let's say you draw a line. You do a mark, right? But it must, your ruler must always follow this orientation. So you move around the ruler. You move the ruler around. Okay, if I use my reference as, all right, 12. It start from, okay, start from 12 for example. Start from 12. The ruler cannot, right, cannot be in this direction, cannot be in this direction. Or which direction should it be? The angle must be parallel to the reference. Now this is the reference, right? 10 mm, I put a dot. All right, I move along here, not changing my angle. 10 mm, I put a dot. Move along this line. My 12 still hitting down here, so I 10 mm. My ruler still must be parallel to this. I put a dot, and then I move along, right? 10 mm. I know that it should end down here, right? So I join these dots with a curve, right? So it should look something like that. Okay, so the next part is this curve down here, right? The next part is this curve down here. I'm going to start with this point. Again, I'll see. I'm using this line as reference. So my ruler has whatever that I draw, whatever points that I draw, that I mark, right? My ruler must be parallel to this. All right, so I will come here. Right, this time round I start with 12 again. I put down here. Is my ruler parallel to this? Right, it's parallel to this. All right, because the line that I draw down here need to be parallel to this line, right? So 10 mm again. Then now I move along the ruler. 10 mm, I put a dot again. I move my ruler while I maintain the angle. I put a dot. Move around here. Put a dot. Alright, maintain the angle. Put a dot. Maintain. Put a dot. And then let's do one more. At the end, maintaining the angle, I put a dot. Right? So you know, this line that I draw out here, it must be parallel to the reference. And I know that when I join the dots, right? When you join the dots, you get the thickness, right? Thickness for the back. All right. This is a straight line. So I will extend this thing a little bit, right, from the base, and I join down, right, with a straight line, vertical line. This line must be a vertical line. All right, so I have now added thickness for the object that is bent. So I have successfully transformed my 2D shape to a 90 degrees bend down here, right, which I do a 90-degree bend down here. The bend line is here, right? The bend line is here, and transform it to a 3D object. Now I need you to try doing this. All right, because from here you can transform it to what you call a cup holder later on. Alright, but the important thing for you to do is to be able to transform from a 2D shape. Right, this is a 2D shape into a 3D, three-dimensional form. Alright, try it. Select one of the shapes that you have generated from lines and circles. Right, I ask you to generate a number of shapes. You choose one that you like and then you transform. Right, transform it to something like that. Alright, thank you and see you next time.